Okay, we are the Doctors Who podcast. I'm Chris.
Brian?
I'm Chip.
And we are going to be discussing Doctor Who's The 11th Hour. In addition, we have a Kentucky Barrel Stout that we're going to be sampling as well. So why don't we get right to it?
All right.
Awesome.
So, Chip, you brought the beer for us.
What I did?
What drew you to this?
I think it was the words coffee and stout that really caught my
Brian's
attention.
tired, so
Yeah.
I'm hoping the caffeine. I assume there is caffeine in it.
I would assume so.
if it's got coffee, it's got caffeine, man. That's just how it works.
When I was looking, I went clear to the end of the shelf at Hy-Vee, and I saw there's another one that called Dragon's Milk, and I believe I brought that another time. That was very good. This was right next to it on the shelf, so it was good product placement, and it had words that sounded tasty.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the words Haitian coffee and aged in oak bourbon barrels over whole coffee beans.
I mean,
those
that's
are
better
words.
than Haitian zombie dust.
That's true.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, not so much on that.
I wanted to actually consult the World Atlas of Beer.
Not surprising Chris has that book.
Going
right.
all over
It's
the
good.
world for
Just
drinking
because
some beer.
I found the history of stouts to be kind of interesting. So first of all, the stout actually derived from the porter. Although they were, or they are today, kind of associated with Ireland, this family of beer actually originated in early 18th century London. Essentially, excuse me. So the porter was the first one that was really brewed in any significant level.
Chicken and egg thing. It was
Mhm.
the porter
Kind of,
came
yeah,
first.
yeah. So the stronger of the beers, or as they would say back then, if it was a stouter or more stout, became known as a stout porter.
Oh,
And then
It's the
later-
descriptor for the beer.
That's
became
cool.
the-
And then later they
beer.
dropped the porter and they just became a stout, and they kind of evolved from there. So kind of interesting. I like porters and I like stouts. I did not know that they were so closely related. You said this came from Lexington Brewing?
Lexington Brewing Company. They are celebrating 20 years, established 1999.
Nice. That's
That's a heck of an achievement, especially for bourbon country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you would think people down there
Mhm.
mostly they either live in a dry county or it's just bourbon.
right. Before we pour this thing, I want to pull this up on Untapped and actually get an idea of, just some stats and some metrics and things like that. I like stats and metrics if they're about beer. So.
And history. History is a lot more interesting when you
Yeah, that's true.
read about the history of
Let's
beer.
see. So it looks like this comes in at 8%. The IBU is 18, which for a stout, I'm not really surprised. 60,000 people have checked this in.
Ooh.
The average rating is 3.75. So that being said, let's see where our taste buds rank this.
All right.
Pop it back over there. It's not as thick as some stouts I've seen.
No.
The head is. It looks more like the head you would find on like a lager or a pilsner than
It's not
on a
real
stout.
thick.
Because you think of like stouts and you think like that
Yeah.
heavy foamy head like
Yep.
you'd get on a Guinness or something like that. But
You can smell a little coffee aroma. Slight.
oh wow,
That's good. I'm kind of surprised. I was almost expecting more of a coffee flavor, but it's a little bit more balanced than I was expecting.
It is not heavy.
No.
Or it doesn't taste real heavy like a stout.
Um,
It's got the flavor.
yeah, there's no consistency of motor oil.
No.
It is not a beer that drinks like a meal. It is good. I'm going to go 4 1/4. And I'm going to take a picture. Ooh. Hey, somebody just started following us on Instagram, guys.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah. All right. So my picture is up. I am drinking this out of a bottle. I am with Brian and Chip. And the flavor profile, the first one is coffee.
I do get coffee, but it's a lot lighter than I was expecting.
Yeah. The next one is smooth.
I think it's pretty smooth.
This is actually pretty smooth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would agree.
I mean, you come in with an 8% stout, and you're automatically going to think almost like Russian Imperial range, but this is actually pretty light. The next one, following smooth, is strong. Hold on.
I don't know.
I wouldn't really say strong.
No, I don't get strong.
No.
I get smooth.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is thin. I don't really know what thin relates to as far as beer. But the next one is light, and I think this is a lighter beer, despite
It feels lighter.
color,
I mean, it's
so-
more effervescent. Just kind
Yeah.
of.
Agreed.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm checking this in. I've unlocked a badge. Cheers to independent U.S. craft breweries, level 13.
Nice.
Cheers, Beer Patriot. You are supporting the small and independent American craft brewer. When you see the seal, shaped like an upside-down beer bottle, that's independence you're tasting.
Oh,
Go me.
Delicious.
I unlocked a badge as well. Heavyweight. Porters and stouts are rich with both history and flavor.
Mhm.
Roasty. These two styles help start it all. That's 5 different beers with the style of porter or stout.
Nice work.
Nice. And I got photogenic brew level 26.
Whoa, 26.
I photograph everything.
Nice.
Yeah, this is dangerously tasty.
Oh, and one more time for the peeps out there. My handle for Untapped
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Brian _JAY, BRIAN_JAY.
Mine is L Crisp. That's ELKRISP.
And mine is Chip 1252.
Sorry.
Awesome. It's kind of a
There's a fly.
fly.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if it was a mosquito or a fly.
Ooh, it's right here.
Oh,
Get
is
out
it
from
thirsty?
under the cable and I will kill you.
Put it underneath the cap. Trap it.
I don't think I got him.
This
He's
is riveting
fast.
viewing, I think. Or something.
He's fast. Sorry.
Man.
Oh, let's move
All right.
on.
All right.
Sheesh. So this is part 3 of a 3-part series. The goal was to go out and each of us to pick our favorite Doctor Who episode. Chip went first,
Yeah. And I did Vincent and the Doctor.
and I went second with The Day of the Doctor, which we have to apologize for. The audio.
Not the Day of the Doctor itself.
No, we have to apologize for the audio quality. There was something crazy going on with the encoder we were using, and if you want to listen to that, which I recommend, I think
It was a good
it was a
episode.
good episode. You're just gonna have to jack up the volume and go someplace quiet. We fixed it. You can hear us. We tested it out beforehand, but now we're on part 3, and Brian's pick,
Is the 11th hour.
which is Matt Smith's first episode as the Doctor. It's also Stephen Moffat's first episode as a
Showrunner.
showrunner.
Yeah.
And Karen Gillan's first episode is Amelia Pond.
That's right.
And Rory's.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
let's not
It
forget
was
Rory.
basically
yeah.
a lot of firsts.
Yeah.
So a lot of new coming into this.
Yeah.
I mean, they even did a retool of the theme music, which apparently caused such a backlash over in England that
Really?
they had to go and do like press tours and crowd control and stuff because people were so upset
Wow.
that they messed with the
Kinda
theme.
funny.
So
They changed the opening credit sequence
Yep.
too. Didn't they?
I don't think so.
I
well,
thought I read
they
that
did. They did.
did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was not a. I didn't feel like that was hit over the head like the.
No, the music was
was
different.
definitely
But it
different.
just they kind of changed a little bit of everything about the show. So.
And if we're honest, I remember watching David Tennant's last episode, and I'm just like, it's like, oh, I remember how hard it was for me to go from Eccleston to Tennant, and I don't know if I'm ready to do this again. Especially because I really latched on to David Tennant.
Oh yeah,
he is my favorite Doctor, and Matt Smith was a pleasant surprise. I don't know what I was expecting, but he was a pleasant surprise.
And we'll get into this too, but it really took me about 3/4 to maybe even 7/8 of the episode before I actually felt comfortable with him. There was a certain point, and we can go into this later, but
after we read the synopsis and get to that point,
and I still find it interesting too that we've all said that David Tennant was our favorite Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yet 2 of the 3 of us picked a Matt Smith episode as our favorite episode.
And technically, Chris
The Day of the Doctor was a very heavy Matt Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, that was it was a focus on him, but Tennant was in it. Yeah.
And I just think that's kind of interesting that
yeah,
Tennant's our favorite Doctor overall, but our favorite episodes tend to be Matt Smith.
Well,
episodes.
I mean, we had several Tennant episodes up for consideration, right? Like Family of Blood,
Girl in the Fireplace,
Silence in the Library.
Yeah.
We couldn't pick blank. Blank's everybody's favorite episode.
Midnight.
Yeah,
that was a really
liked
good
that one.
But ultimately, I don't know. I really liked the 50th. I thought it was really well done.
No, that was a good conversation too.
Yeah. But we're not talking about the 50th. We're talking about Brian's episode.
The 11th hour. So to kind of set the scene here's just a brief recap of the episode. Still getting used to his surroundings, the new Doctor crashes on Earth, severely damaging the TARDIS. There he meets a young girl, Amelia Pond, who tells him she has a crack in her bedroom wall, which he determines is actually a crack in time and space. The Doctor has to leave for 5 minutes, and as promised, Amelia returns. Only it's 12 years later, and Amelia, now known as Amy, is a young woman. When aliens known as the Atraxi begin broadcasting a message around the world, the Doctor realizes they are only 20 minutes away from Earth being completely destroyed. If he's to save the planet, the Doctor must ensure that the aliens recapture an escapee, Prisoner Zero.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's jump right into this, right? It's really, I don't want to say they're resetting this, like resetting expectations for people who haven't seen this, but between how they set this up with young Amelia Pond and between the fact that I believe the opening credits start out with a monologue by Amy saying, when I was a girl, I had an imaginary friend, and when I grew up, he came back, and he lives in a box that travels through time. I almost feel like they're like, okay, we're gonna go out and grab new people with this because this is massively successful with the people that know about it. So that's
you think about the transition between Eccleston and David Tennant. I mean, it was still gaining steam, but really, when Tennant left, that was,
at that point
it was very well established. But I also thought they did a good job of not only, like, I wouldn't say resetting, as you mentioned, but also doing a good nod to what they had already built.
It's kind of like reestablishing. Almost.
Yeah.
Was Matt Smith known for much before this? Because I know Tennant, he popped up in Harry Potter, and he kind of been around for a while, and he was recognizable.
Yeah.
Eccleston was recognizable, maybe not.
I don't have
but
a good gauge on that.
That Matt Smith was only 27 when he took on the role, and I think they said that Karen Gillan had only been in a few things prior to this.
I feel like she was a model before. Most of her work behind a camera was done, or in front of a camera was done as a model.
I think I read that too.
Mostly acting, but a lot of fresh faces, but a really, really good, strong episode from a plot perspective. And I'm not talking about like just this. I think, upon rewatch, there are a lot of things I really liked about it, but part of it was...
You should talk about why it's your favorite.
Oh, sure. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's
maybe we'll start
there. Yeah.
So I think I have seen every Doctor Who episode of the reboot numerous times up until Jodie, which isn't on Amazon Prime.
Correct. It isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But
I would anticipate it's going to show up at some point.
Yeah.
so I've seen pretty much every episode a couple times, and I really narrowed this down to about 15, maybe even 20 episodes that I really liked. And thankfully, Chip and Chris were gracious enough to cross 2 of those off my list.
You're welcome.
So that left me with a solid pool of episodes.
Yeah.
And I think this one really grabbed my attention for a couple different reasons. Primarily, it did a great job with humanizing the Doctor. We're starting with a new cast. We're starting with a new 2 new companions. The Doctor is new. The showrunner is new. But
There's a new sonic screwdriver too.
new sonic screwdriver,
Yeah.
which is
Not
And
until
basically-
barely functioning.
not till the end of the
And
episode,
the
though.
TARDIS is kind of newly rebuilt.
Yeah.
As, the show as this show progresses.
But there is nothing more iconic to me that says Doctor Who is a human portrayal. There's no better writing than when he is eating food with Amelia Pond.
Well, he's got some vulnerability that as he's going through
Absolutely.
the transition, he's figuring himself out.
For how long with David Tennant does he just exclaim, "Oh, I know this.
Mhm.
That's fantastic," and then that's more Christopher Eccleston.
It
But
is,
like
yeah.
he runs
Yeah.
around and he always feels like he kind of has he kind of knows what's going on. This is the first time where we really see a vulnerable Doctor.
Well, but Tennant's first episode, he spent most of his episode in the bed.
Oh, that's a good point. Early on.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't really pop out and remember until he had to fight the alien with the sword and cut off his hand, a la Darth Vader.
Well, that's true.
So I think, but what they do is they really establish that each regeneration's not always the same. Everyone is a little different.
Yeah, and even
True.
the way they write it, he's like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't remember that, or oh, this is new. Or,
Yeah.
There's a lot of kind of
Yep.
callbacks to the regeneration process.
Right.
I also read that this, although it was the season premiere, it was the 3rd episode that they'd shot. So he'd already shot 2 as, he was going to portray the Doctor going forward. So this was, I guess they said when they filmed this one, he knew where he was going with the portrayal of the Doctor, but he had fun
He had an
getting
evolution. He knew point A and point B. He
Mhm.
just had to, Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
But I think one thing that makes this episode so interesting is that it's not really about the villains that are in this particular episode, but the number of threads that it starts for the
yeah.
season.
Yeah.
This one laid a huge foundation for things to come.
Not only do you have the crack in the wall, but you have, the interesting, not Stockholm syndrome. Amy's been dreaming about this man forever.
Mm-hmm.
And on the day before her wedding, she goes and runs off with the
Mhm.
Doctor.
Yeah.
And then you have Rory, who is the lovable but kind of in the background sort of character. And it really sets a good place from where these characters are coming from and what they're going to develop into.
I mean, because Rory's evolution
Fantastic.
as a character is
Mhm.
amazing.
Favorite companion.
Yeah. He started out as kind of like the Mickey Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
of the
did.
Matt Smith era, and he
He became, there was, comedy, tragedy. There was a
Mhm.
little bit of everything
Right.
with Rory.
Oh, yeah.
we went through after we watched 11th Hour, and we had to cancel our slotted time due to sickness and various other things.
Yep.
Yes.
We went through, and my wife and I watched the first couple episodes of Series 6 with the silence
Impossible
and the
Astronaut,
impossible.
Well, and the reference to the
Astronaut.
silence that happens at the
Right.
end of this episode, too, that
Yeah.
didn't even come for.
Right.
a
That was a
season.
whole season later. So
So I ended up watching the 11th Hour, then the next 2. I just
Mhm.
kind of kept going.
Yeah.
When I watched it a
here's
week or so.
here's my
2 weeks
thing.
ago.
I have been very critical of Stephen Moffat as a showrunner.
Mhm.
I don't think my criticism is unwarranted. That being said, he has moments of absolute genius.
Well, he's got a number of episodes that are in everybody's top 10
Yeah.
that he read, and he wrote
Well,
yeah.
some great standalone episodes.
I think for him, he's so good at he's good at a lot of large ideas. He just has a hard time executing, right?
Mhm.
Especially the details.
Right.
But you think about his ability to draw in the ordinary and make it into a villain.
Mhm.
Mhm.
If you would you would sell to me a villain that is a crack in the wall on any other show, I think you're ridiculous.
Or a statue of an
The
angel.
Or statue,
exactly.
Or
Which he has one in his garden, apparently.
did he write Silence in the Library too?
I think so.
I think he did.
So
The
the
Vashta Nerada.
yeah. I was like, Nosferatu? That's not right.
Yeah.
Don't speak Latin at me.
But it's just like, yeah, he has great ideas, but he just he tries to be too clever, and some threads never get pulled back in and tied off.
Yep.
But this is one of those things where, like, the crack in the wall, really well done.
Yep.
The Pandorica.
Yep.
The silence. I mean, those
are really good, solid
I
episodes.
like how they set up the mystery around the crack in the wall too. That the doctor, towards the end, the patient 0 or whatever the one was, references the crack in the wall and asks the doctor, do you know how it came to be? The doctor says no. So, but the whole mystery as that kind of unfolds through the season is pretty amazing.
They're just some great Matt Smith moments where he gets to he just gets to chew up the dialogue and the scenery, like we talked about the food.
Yeah, I mean, the number of times that you hear people say fish fingers and custard.
Right.
Great scene.
Which just makes my stomach turn. Let's be honest.
Now, we should clarify, I think Chip can corroborate this, but essentially when they were making the props for that scene, they ended up, you said it was cake.
It was like pieces of cake rolled in toasted coconut and then dipped in vanilla custard.
That sounds a lot better than fish fingers and custard.
Yeah.
And I guess another bit of trivia I read when Moffat was writing this, he took inspiration from Winnie the Pooh. I don't remember which one, if it was like House on Pooh Corner, but but it was Tigger that wanted to try all these different foods and said he didn't remember that story in books. But I thought that was kind of a funny thing to draw into.
I think the crack in the wall was also like inspired by like his nephew or a family relative.
It was him that had, or maybe it was a relative, but they had these.
But he just started imagining what could be on the other side of a crack, and that's where this idea kind of.
And then the phantom room in the house was one that he'd had a nightmare about his grandmother, like a mystery room in his grandmother's house.
So I mean, it's kind of cool to see these things. I mean, how he can take like life experiences and turn them into something like this. So that's really cool. I do really like the first 2 seasons of his run. Season 5 and season 6, I think, are top notch. After that, it starts to go off the rails.
Yeah. I think he lost some of his. Like, I think he put too much energy into his first seasons, and then had.
It's the Pandorica at the end of his second.
That's the end of the first, isn't it?
The first?
Yeah,
I can't remember the order.
It's the end of season 5, and then season 6 starts with the Impossible Astronaut.
That's right,
and that whole arc.
Now,
and then had a lot of River Song. That was a good season too.
Yeah, it's really too bad Brian's wife hates River Song.
Oh my gosh, no, she loves River Song. No, for anyone watching, she loves River Song. Like, she went and she stood in line for like an hour to get Alex Kingston's autograph on a pair of shoes. On some Converse.
They were actually the cream colored Chuck Taylors that David Tennant wore. Not the actual ones that David Tennant wore, but the same style. Yeah.
And cool. And then she got Hello Sweetie, which is now like her big tagline. My wife's big tagline, not just Alex Kingston.
She gonna get it like tattooed across her chest?
She actually had talked about getting tattooed of that, but not on her chest.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I've been telling my wife she needs to get like a picture of me tattooed on her chest, like flexing. Like my torso can. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah.
It's a good thing she doesn't watch this.
Thank goodness.
Otherwise, she's gonna be in here. She's just on the other side of the door, so
I think we're safe.
Boom. Anyway,
I really love how they introduce Amy Pond's character, or Karen Gillan's character in this too, and I guess the actress that played her younger self was actually Karen Gillan's cousin.
That's awesome.
That she kind of lobbied to get her. She went through a bunch of auditions, but she was
they'd never met until they met on set.
Yeah,
she was so good in that role.
Yeah,
both versions of Amy Pond, and then I think it was the reveal when the doctor still doesn't know it's Amy when he comes back 12 years later, and they're talking, and she finally says, "You said 5 minutes, or why did you say 5 minutes?" And that's the part that it just kind of sold me and had me hooked in that, I think I'm going to really like Amy Pond in this.
Well, and I mean, I'm going to go back to it. Just the writing, that whole twist where it kind of leads you along, and you're like, is that like her older sister, or what?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Why is she dressed as a cop?
Right. But I mean, the whole outfit thing came into play because she's like, what was it, kissogram or something?
Yeah.
It was either that or a French maid.
Yeah.
But I like when she's calling for backup and, playing off that she is a cop. And she does it twice in the episodes. So
Yeah.
she does it when they get to the hospital, too.
Yeah. We do get a small appearance by Olivia Colman as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about her career to know if at this point she was relatively unknown, because what was this, 2010?
Well, this would have been right before Broadchurch, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't. Tennant left Doctor Who, and Broadchurch was what he did next, and she had a big breakout in that one.
Yeah. So I don't
and
know if
she just won a Golden Globe.
I think
she
was. I think so.
Was she nominated for an Academy Award?
I feel like
I can't remember, but
she was on.
I know she won a bunch of stuff this year.
Yeah.
Was she?
I think she was on like a Britain's Got Talent or Britain's Got Comedy, something. I don't know.
Watching it, I wasn't sure if she was already established and they managed to get her, or if this was kind of like her break.
Sure, that could be.
It might have been her break.
And also like Patient Zero,
Prisoner Zero.
Oh yeah, Patient Zero is Resident Evil, I think.
Yeah, that's Sam, or that's well, never mind. Go ahead.
Anyway, Prisoner Zero is just the whole like hiding in that room for 12 years and was it perception filter? Is that what he called it?
Yeah.
Where it's like you just look right over it, but it's been in front of you the whole time. That is the kind of stuff that is really cool to me.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about with the 50th how like the Time Lord art is also a really neat concept until you start to think about it too hard. Like, okay, it's a sliver of time, but do they like pull that sliver of time out? So then is there like nothing? What happened? Like, you start to think about some of this stuff too much and it kind of falls apart. But this whole perception filter thing is something they use more than once.
It is.
And it works.
But that's something, again, where I feel like I've encountered that even in my own day-to-day activity.
It's kind of like a deja vu type thing, too, where you just think you see something out of the corner of your eye, or you just miss something, or something triggers a memory that just, it's kind of that eerie.
And again, it goes back to Moffat's ability to just take normal, everyday things that you don't even think about and turn them into something interesting or scary or revelatory. No, that's not a word.
Fascinating.
There we go. That works. No, but Prisoner Zero and how it was able to like take the shapes of the comatose patients and then just like with the dog and the child, how the voice would be in the wrong body.
That it didn't really know the mechanisms that it needed to employ. But
again, though, I felt like this episode really was not about it was about Prisoner Zero, but like that was kind of an afterthought. It was
Prisoner Zero was the MacGuffin.
Yeah, it was.
It was a thing that kind of drew it all together.
Yeah. But this was really about establishing Matt Smith, introducing and then reintroducing Amelia Pond, working Rory into the fold.
Yep.
And then
did Roy really become a companion?
I felt like it was 4 or 5 episodes.
It was later in this season.
Yeah.
Was it before? Okay. Which episode did he get swallowed by the crack? Was that the angel one?
No. Well, that's where they go underground, right? Where they go into Earth.
Yeah.
I feel like he wasn't in the Beast Below, was he?
I haven't,
because the Beast Below was the next episode.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the rest of the season in a while, so
it was a few episodes in, but because I know he wasn't like a top billed. He wasn't a regular cast member.
Yeah,
he was just a recurring.
And you have to wonder if they were like, oh, wow, this works. We need to, but I almost think with like, you know, the Roman soldier storyline and him waiting, if that was the ultimate plan all along.
It could have been.
Well, that also makes sense if they were trying to cast his role for a while, but then they filmed the next 2 episodes without him, and then went back.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, if they didn't have him,
it could be because if this was the 3rd episode that they actually shot, maybe they didn't even have him cast or no.
That's a good
or
point.
maybe he wasn't available.
Good job, Brian.
Sure.
We'll go with
Good
that.
job.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's interesting how much these actors went on to do after Who as well.
Yeah.
So Matt Smith's gone on to be on The Crown, and Karen Gillan's Nebula in the Marvel universe, and Rory's was it Rip Hunter? He's in the DC universe.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
That the first season or 2 was, I mean, and he played a time traveler, which was kind of funny. And
Did he have a time head?
No, but he did have a coat that was suspiciously like David Tennant's long coat.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was it billowy?
Billowy.
Billowy.
Oh, billowy.
I just
remember
that.
Was.
I just remember that meme with
like when it gets caught in the wind. It just looks awesome.
Yeah.
Where Martha was standing behind both.
For the record,
Captain Jack.
my Doctor Who coat does not billow. Although maybe I just need a high-powered fan.
That would work.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but I love the dialogue in this. There were a couple really, really good lines.
It's expertly written.
That Matt Smith had. One that I feel like I probably should use on a regular basis.
Are you checking Farmville?
Farmville. I've got 3.
People still do that? I don't even know.
I've got 3 pigs.
Oh, I've got 6.
I never played Farmville.
I didn't either. I feel proud about that. Actually.
I think that's a badge of honor. That should be another badge that we earned tonight.
#adulting.
Yeah.
You know when grown-ups tell you everything's going to be fine and you think they're probably lying to make you feel better? Yes. Everything's going to be fine.
His delivery on that was just it hit the
right
note.
Awesome.
I mean, just like his ability to deliver throughout his tenure. I mean, just
it was
so good.
It was just, he could go from very comedic, almost slapstick comedy to dead serious.
Yeah.
And a heartbeat. And
even
and I love the banter between him and especially young Amelia when they were going back and forth and give some other.
I read the part that Stephen Moffat was going for kind of a callback to Peter and Wendy from Peter Pan.
Oh yeah.
So he wanted kind of that dynamic of someone of the Doctor knowing someone for a long time. So Amy knows him for a long time, but Matt Smith only knows her for a few minutes, really.
Yeah.
So your aunt left you all alone? I'm not scared. Of course you're not. You're not afraid of anything. Box falls out of the sky. Man falls out of the box. Man eats fish custard. And look at you, just sitting there. So you know what I think? What? Must be a hell of a scary crack in your wall. Just
yeah. I mean, it's just everything is just laced so tightly together in that episode, from the shots to the dialogue to the
soundtrack.
Scenes. Oh,
I thought the soundtrack.
Murray Gold is
gold.
Yeah,
What was the time frame just in our real world between Tennant's finale and this one?
I feel like it
aired. Was it over a year or was it?
I feel like it was only like a couple days.
Oh,
because what happened was at the very end of David Tennant's era,
I'm talking real world,
so
like air date.
Okay.
But
how
yes,
much?
It does pick up immediately.
I was just wondering how much
story,
time they really had to work on this script and really pull it all together.
So this episode aired in, I believe, April of 2010.
Yeah.
And I want to say David Tennant wrapped up in like 2000.
Series, what was he? Series 4?
Yeah, this was Series 5, the beginning of Series 5.
Episodes.
I went through July 2008. Was that what I saw?
Time Crash? No.
End of Days.
That's
a supplemental.
Yeah.
Journey's End?
Yeah.
That sounds right.
2008, July 5th, 2008.
So they had almost 2 years that they really put into this.
But they also had to find a showrunner and a new doctor, too.
Yep.
I mean, Moffat was already there as a writer.
He was.
So, But to cast everything and to put, he had to have some ideas of where he was going with this.
And I had read that there was some uncertainty whether David Tennant was going to stay or leave when it was decided when Moffat was going to be the showrunner.
Yep.
So he had a version of this written that still had David Tennant starring.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did read that too. That he would still crash in Amy Pond's
Right.
backyard. But it would be a different story.
Yeah.
But
I might actually have some notes here. Because I put some notes together when I thought we were going to... Apparently I lied.
So I might have to correct myself, but I think one thing that really sticks out with me with this episode.
Correct yourself before you wreck yourself.
Oh man,
sorry.
Don't come at me, brah. So this came out in July 2008, and I didn't start regularly watching and rewatching the Doctor Who episodes, Eccleston through David Tennant, until late 2008, and even into 2009. I watched a couple episodes sporadically before then, but the first episode I remember watching, quote unquote, live or in real time was this episode.
Oh yeah.
This is the first, because we watched through Tennant's season. It was all out on Netflix, and we saw his finale. And Matt Smith was the first one where we had to wait for the Blu-ray to release.
Yeah,
because we didn't have cable, so no BBC America.
They said this was the first season shot in HD too.
Yeah, I believe it.
Cool.
I have a feeling their budget was through the roof at this point.
I'm sure it was.
I think probably my favorite scene in this episode is that end scene. Where he averts the disaster and is it the Atraxi?
The Atraxi, yeah.
They leave and he calls them back.
Yeah.
I love that.
I like
That
Rory
was
in
my
that scene
favorite part.
Yes.
You're calling them back.
Yeah.
And Rory's like over in the corner pissing himself. And,
Yep.
Yeah.
And he goes and he gets like his outfit and he goes up there and he confronts them.
Is it better to have them leave or better to have them never come back? Wasn't that his line somewhere in there? But
but it's
basically
done. And then you had like that fan service where the Atraxi are like scanning and they go through like all the different things
out of
the
this
Doctor,
world,
and then he like walks
out
through it.
Mhm.
That was really well done.
Yeah.
Well, again, it reaffirms him as the 11th Doctor.
Yeah.
I thought it did a great
It
job.
just kind of
saying-
sets his place that this is him now, or this is his show now.
Right.
But he, again, if you're going to talk
And
about
he just completely owns it.
He
Sorry, I
does.
don't mean to interrupt. But
No,
he just-
And bow ties are cool.
bow ties.
Yes.
Well, okay, so I started buying bow ties after Matt Smith. I own probably 7 or 8 bow ties now, and I wear them on somewhat regular basis. So
And I read they said there was some store, men's store in London that sold bow ties and men's formal wear, and they said that their bow tie sales went up like 90% after Matt Smith became a
Mhm.
doctor.
that's awesome.
Now, if the next Doctor, who's a man, wears an ascot,
Ooh,
just
like
imagine it.
like Freddy from Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
Let's just
Yeah.
hope they don't go back to celery on the lapel.
yeah. I mean, you talk about having bow ties. I remember back when I worked at the company you were at, I had to
Shall
have
remain nameless.
I had to have some dress, and now I go to work like this because
They had
Nice.
Thai Tuesday, and it wasn't Thai food. But
no, yeah, we did have Thai Tuesdays. That was a different time.
Oh, long time ancient history for you.
It is. I've been where I'm at for 2 years, and
Wow.
it doesn't feel like it.
Hmm.
Like I think the 11th was my 2 year. So
nice.
should be getting a pay raise here anytime now, right?
Ooh, nice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
See if I had anything else here.
There's just so much in this episode.
There was, and it laid the groundwork for the next 2 seasons.
Mhm.
Because it referenced the Pandorica, it referenced the silence. Silence will fall. So I mean,
And the crack in the wall plays a part
Oh,
all the way
yeah.
through this season.
I mean, it ties into Vincent and the Doctor.
Mhm.
Like it ties heavily into the episode with the Weeping Angels.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is coincidentally the next time after David Tennant we see River Song.
Mm-hmm.
And
The Time of Angels. Yeah.
yeah. And then you've got the whole Churchill thing.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. It's just well done. He did great in his first 2 seasons, and then I feel like he just expended all of his good ideas, and he was like,
Yeah.
or he got confident and he tried to be too clever, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one it is.
He did come up with the. He was for Capaldi as well, right?
Yes.
He did the Confession Dial, which I still maintain was one of my.
But yeah, and that is a great episode, but it's only one episode.
It's only one episode.
Thought it was interesting too that Capaldi was in The Fires of Pompeii.
Yeah.
And Karen Gillan was also in that episode.
Yeah, she was.
Mhm.
That's right.
I forgot
I'd forgotten she
two other
was.
people
Yeah.
in that
People
episode,
don't talk about that as much. But
No.
Yeah.
Well,
They
she
both
was.
came out of that episode, and
yeah.
She had no real FaceTime. Like she was in.
She was
maybe
in there.
1 or 2 scenes, and
Mhm.
just like you could catch maybe a
Mhm.
glimpse of her.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
It's just kind of
it kind of makes me want to just keep watching Matt Smith stuff.
oh yeah.
Like Series 5 and Series 6, just tearing through that.
I do have more of an appreciation for him after rewatching some of these. I didn't dislike him the
Mhm.
first time around, but
No.
it just following Tenet was a hard
I
act
mean,
to follow. but
Tennant
it really
was still so fresh, and now you're like,
Mhm.
okay, it's been 3 doctors since Tennant and 2
Yeah.
doctors since Smith.
Mhm.
One thing going back and watching some of these did show me was like just how starkly different the latest season, the Chibnall Jodie Foster
Mhm.
season feels. I mean,
Yeah.
it is so different. So I'm going to be kind of curious to see what they do with the next one. I heard
Mhm.
they're going to start to bring in more familiar elements
Mhm.
because they really kind of stayed away from anything that would
Wow.
ground
Yeah.
you to
Sure.
this being Doctor Who,
Well, they didn't
outside
go
of the
with any of the
fact that
classic
she's got a
monsters or
TARDIS and
villains or-
and a Sonic, right?
yeah.
So it's I'll be interested to see. I didn't dislike it when I watched it. I thought it was solid, but going back and watching some of these, I think I have just like some nostalgia pointing like
hmm
there's some really cool stuff that happened that I
Yeah.
miss.
Yeah.
But I had the same thing with the later
Mhm.
seasons with Capaldi. I'm like, oh, just recapture that
Mhm.
Dorica
Oh,
or
yeah.
Bad Wolf
Mhm.
or something, right? So yeah. I guess I'm getting old.
Oh, happy birthday a week early,
Thanks.
or not quite a week.
It's the big 4-0, so
It's the big one, huh?
yeah. I don't know if it's the big one, but
Welcome to the club.
No,
Thanks.
I'd say the big one would be like maybe a 5-0 or a 1-0-0.
Right.
It's not a 5-0 because I get that one coming up in 2 years.
you don't
You
look
don't
a day over, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna stop there.
something.
Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Did we have anything else we wanted to cover here? Otherwise, I think we were going to talk about what's
Some
next,
upcoming
right?
stuff.
I don't know. I think I'd be interested to hear what everyone else thinks.
That's a
if
great point.
they would like to weigh in on the conversation.
And you did
Maybe
put a
not.
blog post out there, right?
Yes.
Yep.
You have a blog post out there detailing why this is your pick.
Mhm.
Feel free as you're watching this to use the comments section.
Yes.
I promise we will be interactive because we love you. Also, if you are on our social media, Instagram, Twitter, what have you, at TDW Podcast, feel free to engage us there. We're more than happy to have conversations. Yeah. But we're kind of going down a different avenue.
Yeah.
For the
Right.
time being.
Yeah. Brian,
Yes.
bust out the prop.
The book, sir.
Hold on. I don't know if it's going to actually like invert this or not, but
Good question.
So you should hold it upside down and backwards, or I don't know.
His book is called De Nu et Faux Inen It.
I think it's French.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. No, we are going to be diving into a book instead of a series on
Television.
the boob tube. And we're going to be looking at The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Probably going to be like, okay, every 2 weeks we're going to hit X amount of chapters. I think we're going to probably figure out that cadence as we go.
Yep.
And we're just going to kind of tear through that. We've talked about doing more on the literature side of things. So Chip had a great idea with the new Dune movie coming out in November of 2020.
2020. So
we might
18 months away.
We
a little
might
less.
look at that as well. I just recently started rereading it, and I'd forgotten how good that one is.
It's got a lot of layers of stuff in the book too. Where,
it does.
You can reread it and
it
catch
does.
different things that are
Mm-hmm.
kind of in there.
So, as I was going through and reading, like the first couple of chapters, like it kind of deals with like the Atreides family having to go to Arrakis to take it over. It really reminded me of season 1 of Game of Thrones, where Ned Stark had to leave his home and go down to King's Landing to serve the king.
And the thing that's interesting about that too is they consider it to be like a hard sci-fi novel, but it's really not it's much more of a political and religious
and ecological
storyline.
almost.
Storyline.
So,
it's more of a fantasy setting than a sci-fi setting.
I mean, it's
got
called
the backdrop
like
of sci-fi.
the sci-fi equivalent of Tolkien, but it's
But it's not like an Isaac Asimov like hardcore sci-fi technology, driven story.
It's so cool though. It's been so long since I've read it.
It's just a rich book with lots of stuff going on. So
cool.
So that would be a fun one to reread.
And we've also got
talk through and speculate on the movie, and
we've also got things like Amazon's Tolkien series and their Wheel of Time series.
Didn't Showtime option this, didn't they?
They did. I also want to say that Amazon has like the Dark Tower.
Yes, I believe they do.
So there is a lot of good literature being adapted, and I really like what Amazon Prime has done with their original series.
Good Omens was fun.
Good Omens is one of those. They've picked up The Expanse, which has been its first 2 seasons on Sci-Fi, and they were going to shit can it, and Amazon's like, no, we're going to take this because it's awesome. Which makes me so happy.
I feel like they're developing. When we first got the Amazon Prime streaming service, it was like
it was a joke. It was like
really was
crap movies.
Well, you got it for the delivery,
2-day
delivery,
right? And then they're like, oh well, we're able to get some content.
And it was kind of like, oh wait, Netflix is really doing well with this. Maybe we should do some stuff here.
Well, they originally started out as a bookseller, so it makes sense that they start. Being the first service to start.
And the way they're approaching it, and this would be another good podcast or live cast or whatever this is, discussing talking point would be just the streaming wars. Where's all this going when you've got Amazon's really developing a lot of their own content, and Netflix is out there just buying up content and producing content. Disney's
Man in the High Castle,
Hulu.
that was the other Amazon one.
Based on a book. But Disney bought Hulu, and they've got their own service. Warner Brothers is going to have a CBS has a service. HBO has a service.
I think I read DC Comics was shuttering their service.
Really? Are they getting absorbed into another platform?
I just think it wasn't economically viable for them. But
yeah, that would be a fun.
That kind of reminds me of like the franchise wars in Demolition Man, where Taco Bell is the only one standing in the future. You ever seen Demolition Man?
I haven't.
Yeah, a long time ago.
That would be a good one to go back and do at some point too.
Do that,
That would be a lot of fun.
Be fun to look and see what their vision of the future was. You could do that with
because what was that, mid-90s?
Honestly, probably 93, 94.
Yeah.
I don't know where we'd look something like that up. We'll have to figure that out later.
Yeah, maybe check out the local public library.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's probably good. Yeah.
Could remember the Dewey Decimal System.
I think references the 900s.
All right. We're at 49 minutes and 10 seconds. So why don't we take 40 seconds to wish everyone adieu.
Adieu.
Adieu. To you and you and you.
And we will see you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, Wednesday, 9 p.m. We look forward to talking to you then.
See you guys. Allons-y.
Geronimo.
Oh, I see what you did there.
I don't know. What's another one?
Toodles? What you mean from the doctor?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to think about that.
Okay. Next time I'll have one. Okay.
Did Capaldi have one?
Bye.